The environmental dimension of the East German Revolution and German unification has probably not quite entered public consciousness, but I would argue that it was rather central. Environmental concerns, especially about pollution, played a prominent role in the East German protests in fall 1989, the protests against the SED regime. With the fall of the SED regime, with the fall of the wall, news coverage about East German environmental conditions increased significantly. And the story was not pretty. There was soon a narrative that the environmental toll of state socialism amounted to ecocide. That verdict was overdrawn in my view, and I even think that the West German discovery of East Germany's environmental record in 1990 was part of an overall triumphalist narrative that the West had won the Cold War. It made the West Germans feel superior, although their own green record was really a rather recent acquisition. In practical terms, reunification turned East German environmental problems into German environmental problems. Even before the official unification date of October 3rd, 1990, both sides entered into an environmental union on July 1st, 1990. On that day, West German environmental laws were extended to East Germany. There's not much historical research yet on this environmental union. The best known aspects are probably the subsequent efforts to curb pollution and restore East Germany ecologically. And if addressed in historical scholarship at all, the ecological restoration of East Germany is framed as a success story that cleaned the air, saved the rivers, created national parks, and turned lignite pits into lake districts. It did all that, but this was frequently presented in a somewhat condescending fashion. To quote the New York Times article from summer 1990, the West was getting ready to scrub the East's tarnished environment. And even more catchy, the orderly and scrubbed half was about to help clean up the disheveled and polluted half. I mean, things like that must have been hard for East Germans to hear, many of whom had, after all, protested these developments themselves. And the reduction of pollution, by the way, was frequently achieved by simply switching off the polluter, right? So factories were closed, mines were abandoned, East Germany was deindustrialized. Needless to say that this took a toll on employment figures, so the economic restructuring of the former GDR and the ecological restoration are deeply intertwined and sometimes hard to separate.